on to some college hoops now, because I feel like there was a very interesting weekend that has led to some discourse. Shawnee, you were there with boots on the ground with South Carolina and Texas, where South Carolina pretty handedly beat that Texas Longhorns team. That was, I mean, just a brutal performance, frankly, out of Texas. God bless the Hook 'em Horns. And now the dialogue has kind of become South Carolina continues to stack these wins. At what point does their wins and strength of schedule kind of make them the number one team in the nation, even though UCLA, number one team in the nation, beat South Carolina early on this season at UCLA, and that convincingly as well. That's a great point. But UCLA has not really played anyone since. Now the Big Ten is on the way, so we're going to get some of those games, especially later on in the season, because the early part of their Big Ten schedule is the easier part, but the Big Ten is solid, as is the SEC. So I guess the dialogue becomes now, is South Carolina the number one team in the nation for you guys? And if not, why? And is it as simple as UCLA beat them? Shawnee, since you were there at the game and you got to see it firsthand, I would love to know your thoughts as a fam, as well as the resident fam. I would love to know your thoughts on this. I'm just saying that I have no comment.
No, I know. I am very much apply the same logic consistently, right? So it's like, if we were undefeated and we beat a team, I'm sorry, we lost to them. And it's not like we lost to like let's say we played like a Michigan State, right? And lost to them in a non-con matchup, blah, blah, blah. Like, Michigan State has not traditionally been like a top 10 team. Mm-hmm. They've, been trying to do their thing and get in the top 25. So it's like, okay, that we're not calling it a fluke, but it's like, we can chalk that up to some things. But UCLA is a contender. UCLA has traditionally and consistently shown that like they're a really good team. Mm-hmm. So for them to beat South Carolina, whatever factors went into them losing, people want to say jet lag and this, that, there. And it's like, they beat us. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. Until we beat them again and get our lick back, we got to sit with it. We got to eat it. Like, that's where I am with it. Like, we can have, now I don't think anybody under us should get votes over us, because like we've been beating the piss out of everybody.
Yeah.
So I think the number 2 is a strong number 2. And I think like we're breathing on UCLA's neck. So they better take care of business, because the very second, I don't care if it's an overtime buzzer beater on a controversial call type deal, that first L,
out of there, yeah.
We'll take that. Thank you very much. Once the records become even, then like, all right, let's go. Jump, leapfrog them. But until they take that first L, they have something that we don't have right this very second, which is an undefeated schedule and a win over us. So I'm kind of like, our hands are a little bit tied until we can get our lick back. Now, LSU, you stay where you at. Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
Yeah, we'll get into some of the other votes that did happen. Greer, I mean, just same question when it comes to the argument that South Carolina should be the number one team in the nation.
No, and also like, okay, because what also kind of grinds my gears about like.
Let me hear it.
I thought like this is I don't know, and Shawnee, you can correct. I think you would agree with me. Like, this is a program striving for championships. Rankings and like none of that really matters anymore. You guys have won. We
were 6th last year.
3 championships in how many? You know what I'm saying? So like, that's the standard. That is that's the measurement here to me for this program. And it's like, are they going to be back in the Final Four? Are they going to be back in the national championship? Are they going to win another national championship? And if they were to do it in this season of all seasons, this is probably the most impressive one. If they can do it in April, you know what I mean? Hoping not, obviously, but but you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just think I also think the conversation is kind of beneath the fan base at this point. Like that's not about championships or not. That's what I thought.
Oh, that's very UConn of you. I like put the rings on the table. Like what we arguing about mid-season championships for? This isn't just Liberty. Like, please.
There you go. Bring it back. Well, no, I agree. Like, I mean, South Carolina is the standard right now. Like, there's no other way around it. So, like, and again, kind of to your point, Shawnee, like the reverse of this would be a completely different discussion. Goodness gracious. If this was Lord. Hell no, please no. But the one thing I also did want to point out, obviously we're referring to the AP poll as we're discussing this and the rankings with that. Notre Dame received 2 first place votes. I don't have it directly in front of me who voted that, so I don't have like the names to be like, you did this, but like that surprise. And like I've been very high on Notre Dame, and I still think that like Notre Dame at their best, that like when we've seen them rise up to competition, is like can go head to head with anybody in the country right now. But they have 2 losses, like and 2 not bad losses, but like in comparison, when you go and beat all the top 5 teams, in comparison to those teams that like you can excuse some of those losses to, you lose to TCU and you lose to Utah back to back. Now they look great since then, but getting 2 first place votes ahead of South Carolina, again they were ranked number 3 overall, but getting 2 first place votes is pretty wild. Frankly, like
it's interesting. However, they are coming off a win without Hannah Hidalgo, right? And like,
who do they play?
Someone not good.
Okay, so
yeah,
Clemson maybe.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Clemson.
It wasn't Texas. I'll put it like that. When it comes to
Clemson,
it wasn't Texas. Yeah,
but see, and that's my point.
I don't. That could have been like, oh well.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
See, and that's the part I think is disrespectful. Like, I feel like UCLA has earned the right to be number 1. They beat us. They're undefeated. It is what it is. But all y'all other motherfuckers beneath us, absolutely not. You stay where you at. Shouldn't nobody besides UCLA get first place votes over us? That's the part where, to me, it gets disrespectful.
I think that's fair. I think that's totally fair, and I would agree with that. Again, with UCLA, like, frankly, like the upcoming schedule isn't anything crazy. It's Northwestern, Penn State, Baylor, at Rutgers, and then we go on a little bit of a run with at Maryland, which will be a fun one. Obviously, we just saw the USC Maryland game go down to the wire. Minnesota, who just entered the rankings this week. Ohio State, at Oregon, and then your first battle of LA. So again, there's a little bit of a stretch with the Big Ten, but ultimately, we're going to find out a lot more about South Carolina before we find out a lot more about UCLA, because South Carolina's next. I mean, the Texas was the start of the gauntlet for South Carolina. With you play Texas, you go play at Alabama, you host Oklahoma, you host LSU, then you play at Tennessee. So
I'm not scared of any of those. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying 5.
I'm sorry.
I'm just saying
no. Okay, okay, but I get it. I get what you're saying. You have to say this, but I'm like, Alabama, respectfully.
And that's the South Carolina. That should be the mentality to me. So that's why I'm confused by the dialogue.
But like, that's what I'm saying though. Like, we're talking about how UCLA don't really play anybody this upcoming stretch, and it's like Texas A&M. It's not. They, we're the Joni, but like they not.
Yeah.
World beaters right now. Alabama is not. Oklahoma, I'm so sorry, but absolutely not. They don't put fear in anybody's heart at all. I'm so sorry. And I mean this as respectfully as I know how.
Apologize. You lose to Mississippi State, you get what's coming.
You know what I'm saying? So like LSU, yes. Then we got UConn. Or I meant like when do we have UConn?
Tennessee. So you play LSU, then at Tennessee. Then you play at
Auburn.
You have at So it goes LSU at home, at Tennessee. You host Auburn. You at Georgia, at Texas, Florida at home, UConn at home.
Okay, so it's kind of like UCLA. It's gonna get. I'm sorry. It's about even, man. I'm good. So again, we can monitor what UCLA is doing when they catch that first L and we catch them slipping. Get us up in there. Move us. Until then, we got to just settle down. But like, please don't talk to me about Oklahoma. I'm sorry.
There's other teams in the stretch too that you could say.
Alabama. Yeah. I'm sorry. Leave me and my family alone. I don't trust Tennessee right now. Like, to be a super threat. You know, like they're doing their thing for sure. She got, Kim got them girls going, but I still just don't think like they're still in, a build up mode, because she said she doesn't like rebuild. So they're in a build up mode. They're building themselves up. They are building habits and practices and things for March. So, I respect it. But right now, they don't put fear in my heart.
Yeah. I mean, stop me if this sounds familiar before, we move on to our final subject here. But a team with a dominant big that is whooping teams' ass, getting overlooked because people aren't really watching because they know what's going to happen. Stop me if you've heard that before.
All right, that's enough.
I'm just saying. And Andrew said it first. Not to point a finger, but Andrew said it first.
Ooh, you starting a grease fire and dipping out. That's wicked.
But the dialogue and like the kind of lack of, I guess, respect in that way, it all feels incredibly familiar to me in that way. So again, I think UCLA should be number 1. I think South Carolina is, to your point, Johnny, a very, very strong number 2. And then you kind of figure it out from there in whatever way you deem. I think Notre Dame is a clear number 3. And then really after that, it's kind of when you start figuring stuff out